I was project manager for DEN, Democratic Education Network. So that was a big part of my university career, I think. We worked on a load of different projects. It was really, really good. I learned a lot of leadership skills from that, because obviously when you get into your university or your classes, you don't really have the space where you can show your leadership skills, but DEN was that for me. I also was the BAME officer in my final year of university. So I was representing Black minority ethnic students in the university, so I ran that campaign. And I also did work experience in my final year of university as well.
My university experience was a little bit different. Since first year I had to work. I had no option but to work. And I know that's a reality for a lot of students as well. Not often talked about enough. A lot of people think that we kind of just have all this free time and we can be here for all these extracurricular activities. But if you do have that time, that's great. But the reality for a lot of students, especially mature students, is that we do have to work part-time alongside our studies. And that was a reality for me. After all my lessons, all my lectures, I would run out of here, go straight into work. Sometimes I do readings on the tube and, wherever I could. I really used my lessons and the time that I had scheduled to be here to my advantage. I really took in the lessons, everything that I signed up that I could that was extracurricular. So I went to a UN trip in New York at my second year of level 5, which was amazing. I'm really thankful for the experience. So I really enjoyed and valued my time while I was here, because I knew I had to work afterwards, and I wish I could have stayed for all the other extracurricular activities, which you do gain a lot from, but I know that's not the reality for a lot of students.
I also did an internship at IOM, which was arranged by the university after I graduated. I'm sure you're aware, but Westminster has sort of institutional arrangement with IOM, which is the UN Migration Agency. So they send interns around the world to different duty stations every year. I was in the first or second cohort of that. And so I spent 9 months in Laos, in Southeast Asia, working for IOM as a policy and communications intern. Yeah, that was an incredible experience. I got to sit in on government meetings with big wigs in the Lao government, with UN officials and all that sort of stuff. I got to travel to Bangkok. That was definitely an incredible experience that I couldn't have done without Westminster.
Doing all of those different things, especially at Westminster, there was a lot of opportunity for you to get involved in extra things, open days and stuff like that, where we were representatives there, and a lot of different talks and stuff like that, talking to different kind of organisations and companies, and I think that that really helped me figuring out what I wanted to do, at least featured, and kind of what my career would look like. I graduated in the thick of COVID, so my biggest worry in the job market was really hard to get into. Corporate careers were on a low because a lot of companies were making people redundant, or they were downsizing kind of their job opportunities that were going out. I didn't actually end up getting my on-time graduate scheme until a year later. There was a lot of people obviously in the job market at that time that were going through the same problem. I did have some issues kind of going into the corporate world. What is my place there? I think you navigate that and you build your community and the people you know there.
There is a real big expectation from us to get into a career and climb a ladder, and you need to do that as soon as you leave uni. I think we also need to take a step back and not pressure yourselves, and also there's so much opportunity now for you to make your own opportunities. You don't necessarily have to work for someone, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. You can start with freelance work and then kind of work your way into corporate if that's what you want.
What you've learned during your 3 years here is not just theory-based. You've learned how to communicate with people, you've learned advocacy skills, you have time management, organisational skills. There's so much which you can transfer into something else and tap into your creative side as well. I don't think a lot of people realise that politics and IR is creative, but that's what I was suppressing a little bit. So when I left here, I was thinking, you need to get to a policy role. After that, I'm going to climb the ladder, do the next thing, do the next thing, do the next thing. I think putting that pressure on yourself can limit you a lot. So you're applying to jobs, you're not getting exactly what you want. You've got to work your way up. You've got to see, okay, if I apply to this job, where can that get me in the future? Or let me apply to this job and see if I do get it. Do I like working in an embassy? Do I like working in local government? You kind of have to take one step to then go further.
My only piece of advice is to stay resilient. And the job market right now is hard. LinkedIn is going to be your best friend, I would say personally, as someone who applies for a lot of jobs through LinkedIn. Most industries will have specific job boards, so if you could be a bit creative with kind of the job boards that you're looking at. So insurance, for example, we have quite a few job boards, so we have something called Insurance Cultural Awareness Network. That's really helpful for candidates that want to get into the industry. Things like career fairs, insight days, virtual sessions, things like that are really helpful, but yeah, my top advice is stay resilient and keep yourself busy, whether it's volunteering or a part-time job or something like that. It's only going to help you build your skills.
Also, when you're talking about LinkedIn, it's not just looking at jobs that are on LinkedIn. You need to know how to network within LinkedIn. So you apply for a job, you should see who the hiring manager is. You should approach them if you can, message them. It shows that you have that interest, you have that passion. You really do want to work here. You've researched the company, you've researched the role, and that will make you stand out. You need to stand out and stay relevant.
I got my first internship. I went to my local MP when I was in second year, and I got that through going out campaigning on the doorstep with her, and I asked her a question. And so I was a member of the Labour Party at the time for my sins. I got on the mailing list, and they said that there was a campaigning event, and you can go and turn up, knock on some doors. It's quite fun. So I went along. The MP was there, and I asked her for a job, and that was it. And I got one. Strategically, yes, develop skills in places where you can actually improve, but also getting those things on your CV that you can kind of point to and say, like, I'm capable of doing this job because of X. You can reap some of that capital from the thing that you put on the CV.
The fact that I had a master's in diplomacy really stood out for them. So they did say you have the academic knowledge, you know how international organisations work, and you can show that you've been to international organisations, you've taken part in like extracurricular activities, I've been to the UN and I've taken part in meetings, and I could show to them that if I needed to be there and represent and help and be that support system, I could know what was already going on, where a lot of people that were applying for jobs didn't really know what international organisations were, what they did. They just have experience as assistants in the past, but not necessarily in the field of diplomacy. So for my career specifically, I think having a master's, it did help me a lot.
I think what really helped me was having early on leadership skills. I was a trustee for the university, so through the union of students, and was elected to be the welfare officer. So being a trustee at like 22 years old, obviously that stands out. I think also having experience internationally, so they like to see that you've experienced different cultures, speak to your tutors, they can help you, don't limit yourself. That's what's really important. You need to take that passion and show the fruitfulness of that.
We don't look at CVs at my company. For early careers, it's all about, for us, creating fair opportunities for everybody, and we know that not everyone has the same access to opportunities that others do. We don't actually look at CVs. It's very much about how you perform in your assessments, and tests and stuff like that. The biggest thing for me was that I was keeping myself busy, and if I had a break, I was doing stuff in that. I cited that I was a rep at the uni, I cited that I was a waitress, I was a bartender, I worked in retail, but all of them, I was looking at job applications, and then I was looking at the transferable skills I had from all of my careers and saying how can I fit that into what they're looking for. Obviously the travel opportunities, I went to Vietnam, Turkey and Geneva with the uni. I was going to international conferences, I was representing our uni in different environments, and it was showing that you're adaptable. I'm not going to say lie, and I'm not going to say use AI for CV. That is the worst thing you can do right now. Think about your experiences and how you can make them fit the job and the culture of the company that you're looking to go into. Everything you do has an impact. Figure out how you can fit that into what the company's looking for, regardless of what you've done, whether it's volunteering or doing your own research or the projects you've done or the things that you're just interested in. They all can fit into a career, and they can all have an impact on how you fit in that job as well. Think about that and be a little bit creative with how you're representing yourself on your CV.